That's all good.
All right, Shalom.
Shalom.
Shalom, shalom. First and foremost, before we get started, we'd like to give all praise, glory, and honor unto
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rakha Kodash,
I want to say Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh,
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
Barakatah Yahweh Shai,
Hashem,
Bahashem, Rakha
Kodash.
Kodash.
And double honors into our apostles and elders of Great Millstone who continue to rule well. And peace, blessings, and mercies to the hopeful elect, wherever you may be. All right, welcome back to another live stream. We and the brothers got together once again through the Spirit of the Lord to come and, in the hopes of the Spirit of the Lord, prophesy and edify the flock. And what we're going to go into as a launching pad through the Spirit is denying yourself, because it's important to be in self-denial, to exercise discipline for the sake of that hour of temptation that's going to fall upon us. And in the hour of temptation, your very flesh is going to be stroked, okay? And it's going to serve as a means of distraction and influence to fall into the trap of this devil, the so-called white man who is the Edomite, with his digital, his technocracy, okay? The technocracy that he's trying to establish and that we're witnessing him bring to pass gradually, beginning with his paper trail and his infrastructure that he's building. Okay, so we want to have some type of discipline over this flesh, okay, going into these troubling times. And with that, Lord willing, this is a edifying live stream. We can start with that, bro.
Khan. So this is Luke 9, and let's see, verse 24, or verse 23. And he said to them all, if any man will come after me, let him deny himself and take up his cross daily.
Now, this is the words of the Lord Yahweh Shai, okay? This is what he's saying, to deny yourself and take up your cross daily, man. Okay, that cross representing what? Us spiritually dying to this world, and being joined unto the Lord Yahweh Shai, okay? And being brought into good graces with the Most High Yahweh, all right? Denying this flesh, denying your passions, man. Okay, your comforts, so you can understand. Continue, bro.
It says, and follow me.
And follow him, okay? Because he's the example of what discipline is all about, what righteousness is all about, what denying yourself is all about, man.
And I'm going to get the word for deny here.
And he said daily, though.
Yep.
So it's not just a once in a while thing. It's every day you have the Spirit of the Lord upon you. You are to deny yourself and take up your cross daily to follow him. Go ahead, bro.
So the Greek word is aparneomai, and it says to deny, to affirm that one has no acquaintance.
No acquaintance. First and foremost, with this world, okay, with the people of this world, with the things of this world,
or connection with someone,
or connection, someone who's of a contrary spirit, whether man or woman. Go ahead.
It says to forget oneself, lose sight of oneself and one's own interests.
And one's own interests. Okay, what you want to do, you are to have discipline over that. Okay, if you got any words, bro.
A couple more. It says disown and abstain. All right, and that all goes into resisting the desires of the flesh. And I also want to read this in the NLT, verse 23. It says, then he said to the crowd, if any of you wants to be my follower, you must turn from your selfish ways, take up your cross daily, and follow me. All right, and all of our selfish ways is whatever this flesh is desiring to do. All right, you might want to eat, but maybe it's not a time to eat. Maybe you need to be locked in into the spirit. All right, if you just eating all day, you not, or whatever it is, whatever you could be, focused on in this world, or within your flesh, is distracting you and taking you away from the spirit of Yahweh Shai.
Appreciate it. Wait, keep reading while I find it, bro.
Back in the King James Version, Luke 9:24, it says, "For whosoever will save his life shall lose it, but whosoever will lose his life for my sake, the same shall save it."
And that's what I had.
You want to speak on it, Doc?
Yeah, as you was going into, you gotta put restraints on yourself. This flesh, and the reason for it is that this flesh, it'll have you attached to things in this world. And in that day, in the days we're coming into now, I mean, things are getting more expensive. Times are getting harder. If you attach to things in this world, you become more impulsive. So when pressure get going, you're gonna think about your inward desires. That's why it's important that you constantly purging yourself, so your desires will be pure, and it'll be the will of the Heavenly Father, man. That's what we ask, that the Lord have things work out in our favor if it's according to His will. Through the good and the bad, we praise the Lord. So you can't be in the spirit of just trying to please your flesh all the time. You have to abstain.
That's right.
I found that precept out. This is St. Matthew chapter 4, and I'll begin at verse 1, because this to back up what the brother was saying, and this is a key example of the Lord doing just that, denying your flesh. But this is St. Matthew chapter 4, beginning at verse 1. Then was Yahushua led up of the Spirit into the wilderness to be tempted of the devil. And this is kind of similar to what we got to go through in the future, man. We're going to be led to be tempted by Shaitan, his counterpart, though. This devil, the so-called white man, the Lord's going to allow this man to tempt the whole world, to be ensnared in that system. Okay, but look at the example that has been left for us, though. It says, verse 2, "And when he had fasted 40 days and 40 nights, he was afterward an hungered. And when the tempter came to him, he said, If thou be the Son of God, or the Son of the Most High, command that these stones be made bread. But he answered and said, It is written, Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceedeth out of the mouth of the Most High." Okay? Right. Meaning what? It's more to this than just physical food. What did the Lord Himself say to the disciples when they came over? Lord, did you have meat? Did you eat already? He said, Man, I have meat, not of.
Right. And then they was tripping out like, did he buy some meat behind her back?
Meaning what? He was being sustained by the Spirit of the Lord. First and foremost, before he did the physical. He wasn't always worried about what the flesh wanted.
Right.
Because the flesh, as he learned from a previous life, can make you go completely left, man.
Make you weak.
I got a real quick precept to that. This is Galatians 5:16. "This I say then, walk in the Spirit, and ye shall not fulfill the lust of the flesh. For the flesh lusteth against the Spirit, and the Spirit against the flesh, and these are contrary the one to another." And it reminds me of what Yahushua told told Peter and who was it, John, in the Garden of Gethsemane, he told him, to take heed. He said, the spirit is willing, but the flesh is weak.
Yep.
All right, it says, these are contrary the one to the other, so that ye cannot do the things that you would. So sometimes when things happen, your immediate reaction and thought is going to be fleshly, but you always have to check in and tune in with the spirit to make the decision before you move. Right, so we should always, like it says here, be conducting ourselves in the spirit, filtering everything through the spirit. All right, it can be something that you enjoy to do in the flesh that's not going off, you're not sinning, but is it balanced? Is it conducive to the spirit?
It's saying Romans that the spirit and being carnal is enmity with the Most High. So having that carnal mind, that plays a part in being emotional. When you first make it, like you was going into, you first had something happen to you, that's that immediate emotional feeling, and you can't move off of that. You have to observe your emotions, and that take the spirit to do. It take a real man to sit back and to observe why and what is making him feel a certain type of way before he make a move on what's next, and that's the spirit. That's not, that's divine. Women can't do that. Most men in this society can't do that. So we got to practice that, and part of that practicing is putting yourself through daily hell. You're gonna go through it anyway. So it's important to work out, take bitters, fast, do things that you necessarily know you don't want to do. And
all this goes back to the brother's opening point about the hour of temptation, where this devil makes the mark of the beast, which is the microchip, mandatory, because it's going to be tempting, because this devil's going to use your flesh against you, by saying you can't eat, you can't buy no food, you can't work, you can't trade nothing unless you under this system with this microchip. So if you never been on a fast before, how do you expect to get through that time?
All you are too busy doing is pleasing your flesh. And like the brother said, it's more than just food. It's whatever pleases your flesh, and it doesn't add to the growth of your spirit.
And what's heavy is the hour of temptation. The Lord promised us we was gonna eat. All right, so you may not, who's to say? We don't know. We may have to go some time, fasting. We may not have to, but what it really is just the thought. The initial thought of, damn, I can't buy nothing from a grocery store. I can't eat. And you move out of haste and go take that chip. And the very next day, brothers is in, somewhere off the grid, and the Lord, made quail appear. Or some type of manna came down.
Witnessing a miracle put forth by the one who cares for your spirit anyway.
I got a quick precept.
Oh, yeah.
This Luke 9 and Luke 9 and 59, just going into that. And he said unto another, follow me. But he said, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. Yahushua said unto him, let the dead bury their dead, but go thou and preach the kingdom of the Most High. So I brought this out and as an example. When he got instruction, when this man got instruction, the first thing that popped in his mind was some fleshly shit, some carnal shit that didn't matter.
An
excuse. Because why? Because he was doing something uncomfortable. He probably didn't really want to do it anyway, but that was a way to prolong what he knew that he had to do, And if you're in that spirit, like the brother said, you in the spirit of making excuses to not do what you got to do, that might be the last time that you in a position to even do whatever it is, Let's say it's making a video. You know, that might be the last opportunity you get to make a video. Now it's on your mind that you didn't sacrifice that time to give to the Lord, and now you can't even do it no more. You know, you don't want to be in that spirit of I could have done more. You know, I should have did better. You know, because in that day, when it comes, like the brother said, you might have to fast, but you know, in a time of famine, you know, it's gonna be a luxury to eat. You people, the ungodly are gonna be fasting, man, fasting all the way to their death.
Yeah.
You know,
And
force fast, yep.
And not even to get on the topic of these other camps, but I noticed one thing these other camps do is they change this ministry to their convenience. You know, like a good example is a lot of these camps, they know the correct way to acknowledge the Sabbath by the new moons, all right? But instead, they go with the standard that really the rats set up, that standard of Saturday or Friday night to Saturday night, sundown Sabbath, because that's to their convenience, because they know that they're off work usually on a Saturday, so in their mind, like, I ain't working on the Sabbath. You know, it's just convenient for them. They go out and teach on that day. All right, or they may be on some type of you know, workout regimen, or they got women, so they don't want to give certain things up for the Lord. They still want to pop their woman on the Sabbath. They still want to work out and do whatever else, you know, on the Lord's day.
And all that comes from what? Not denying yourself.
Right, exactly. Exactly. Because in the NLT, when we read in let me just read it real quick again. Luke 9 and 23. Then he said to the crowd, if any one of you wants to be my follower, all right, so you got to discern who are the true followers of Yahweh Shai. It says you must turn from your selfish ways. All right, so you know, you want to eat at this time, you want to light the stove, you want to pop your woman, you want to work out. Those are all selfish needs of the flesh. So Yahweh Shai is saying you got to give up that stuff. Hey, Yahweh Shai, man, he came from a wealthy household pretty much as a carpenter. And what did he do? He forsook everything he had to go you know, forward this ministry. So by Yahweh Shai telling us what he's telling us to do here, he's not a hypocrite. All right, he did the same thing to an even higher degree. He actually physically gave up his life for the whole nation and endured all that pain. So it says you must turn from your selfish ways. You don't think Yahweh Shai would have liked to have a woman when he was here, but he knew that, nah, I gotta stay focused. It says take up your cross daily and follow me. That's it.
I can finish this. This just finishing off real quick. This Luke 9 and 61. And another also said, Lord, I will follow thee, but let me first go bid them farewell, which are at home at my house. And Yahweh Shai said unto him, no man having put his hand to the plow and looking back is fit for the kingdom of the Most High. Now, ultimately, that's looking back. You know, you find out that the Sabbath ain't Friday to Saturday, but it alternates. You know, and sometimes you got doubles, and you looking at it like, well, shit, I mean, I'm still keeping it though. Right. That's wicked, man.
Or another example, the bitter herb.
Like,
well, I won't eat this lettuce, you know, because it's too much. It made my nose burn last time.
Because you looking back into the world, man. It was pleasant. What niggas was saying in the wilderness, we want to go back to Egypt for the cucumbers and the melons, the leeks and shit.
Oh, a real good example we have in this time, you know, we go out every week on the streets and teach, but you got men that don't want to stay consistent with that, so now they turn it into, oh, we don't got to go out and teach every week.
Damn.
You know, because they don't want to do it because maybe they got to take their family out somewhere on a Saturday or whatever.
And now they get a church, you know. Now they got a congregation that come and meet at a certain building every. Now you the Christian church, man. All out of what? Convenience. You know, it's AC. You got a heater on when it's cold.
Because the highways and byways, you know, the chief place of concourse, that's uncomfortable. You know, especially from brothers that come from backgrounds where they was like maybe a little more shy and didn't want to be around, you know, a lot of people,
Mhm.
you know, but out there on the streets, man, you got people looking at you funny, scoffing, cussing you out. Somebody might be driving by, recording.
Yep.
You know, you always get the thought somebody you work with
Gonna
might
walk
see it.
by.
We've been through that. Certain
Mhm.
brothers been through that, but it is what it is, man. You know, we can't be ashamed of the Lord.
That's right.
Might be even confrontational. They might start
Yeah.
throwing shit at you. You might
Right.
get into a scuffle or something.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but that's all going into if it's brought to pass and in the right spirit. That's all for the glory of the Lord.
Right. That's
you know?
right.
And like the brother said, you can't be ashamed of that, man.
Yeah.
Because all these people, if you really believe it, all these people are condemned anyway. So
Exactly.
who the fuck are they?
Bro, these people celebrate Christmas, their birthday. They, you know, eat crazy shit.
Easter.
Yeah, they get pegged.
Right.
You know, that with all jokes aside, like that's like a common
That's
thing.
a popular thing.
Maybe
man.
not to that extent,
Yeah,
not specifically, but doing something weird.
Yeah.
You know, all these people are into something weird. So I'll never forget Elder Yashawamba, you know, some years ago, he did a video and he was going into like, who cares what these people think? Like, we can't be ashamed for, you know, wearing our garments and standing on the corner. Look at what these people are into. And like you mentioned, they condemned already.
Right.
Yep.
Here it is, you doing the best to be righteous in the sight of the Lord.
Yep.
That's right.
And these niggas, they believe a man could be with a man, a woman could be with a woman.
Wow.
Or if you want to change your gender, that's okay. But you're going to look at me crazy because I'm trying to be righteous in the sight of the Lord?
Right.
And please.
Right. Because you say you ain't voting. Niggas look at you crazy and shit.
Yeah.
You know? Like we vote for the Lord. How about that? We want the Lord to return.
That's right.
You know? Fuck this society. We don't have no place in it. We are excommunicated from this society. And it shows by the way people treat us just for existing. We exist and it's an issue with you people, man. So fuck y'all, man.
That's right.
You know? You got a precept, bro?
I have one. Are you done with that?
Yeah, I was done. I was getting something else. You got it.
Just keep it in the same spirit of being like the Lord himself, man. 1 John chapter 2 and verse 6. He that saith he abideth in him ought himself also so to walk even as he walked.
Mm-hmm.
Meaning what? You gotta be like how the Lord was.
Mm-hmm.
That's heavy right there.
You know?
How did the Lord, Salakia, how did the Lord celebrate, or how did the Lord, I won't even say celebrate, how did he acknowledge the Passover? What spirit was he in?
Right.
Yep.
No, I'm using that example because this is Passover season.
Yep. And
You
we
got-
still in that 40 days.
Yep. But
You don't
see, you see amongst our congregation, you know, brothers are very serious and stern right now in the spirit. You know, brothers catching hell. We're examining ourselves, but then you look at the spirit of these other groups, and the simple pass on and are punished. You know, they in that spirit. You know, partying. You know, it all goes back to they're not denying themselves and taking up their cross daily.
Exactly. And this is why they're going to be taken by this deception that's going to be out here.
Yep.
You know?
Mm-hmm.
And that's a scary thought to have, man.
Yep.
You know? But it's going to be a reality to those of you who are playing games right now when you're supposed to be training your spirit.
Yep.
Right.
That's
you
right.
know, to endure that temptation, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
You got individuals who can't even be by themselves for too long. Like they always got to have an entourage or a posse of brothers around them. You know, but what if, you know, you fall under the lot to get thrown in prison or a concentration camp, separated from your family, and you just by yourself?
And what you gonna do?
Right.
That was bugging a lot of people out in COVID. They had to be alone. You couldn't go out and be amongst a bunch of people. And a lot of people fail that test. You know, you don't think that it's gonna come back around. This time it's gonna be the real thing.
Yeah, like you mentioned, you have to condition You know, maybe it's not your lot to be beheaded or be cast in prison, you know, or something else, but still condition your brain to, you know, you could picture yourself in that situation, and you could also picture yourself enduring it and being delivered from it.
Yep.
You know, we have to have that mindset. Like, I may have to give up my life, you know, offer my neck to the guillotine,
Yep.
you know, or whatever. You know, you might have to see, you know, a loved one in this world be put to death. You know, but what are you gonna do? Are you gonna give up and take the chip?
You know, I got a quick precept.
Go ahead.
This 2 Corinthians 13:5 in the HNV, and it says, "Test your own selves, whether you are in the faith. Test your own selves, or do you not, or do you, or don't you know, as to your own selves, that Yahushua the Messiah is in you, unless indeed you are disqualified." So the brother said, perfectly. You got to condition yourself. You can't, even when it comes to worldly sports, you don't just show up to the game. You know, you had a basketball tryout, and the next time you see the team is at the game. You know, you ain't got no plays. You know, you ain't conditioned. You don't got no, you know, that's tacky as hell, man. You ain't gonna make it, you know, because you ain't serious. You ain't really trying to win, man. We trying to win.
Yeah.
You know, you got to constantly test yourself. That's the purpose of afflicting yourself. You know, keeping the high holy days to the best of your ability. Doing, you know, find your best fight, you know.
Hey, now I see why the Apostle Paul and then also brothers today use so many analogies to sports, because hey, when you think about you know, boxing, you know, a 12-round fight is going to expose you.
Oh, yeah.
You know, if it goes the distance, is going to expose what type of conditioning. If you got poor conditioning, man, you won't have the same power you had in the first round.
Yep.
You know, when you get to the 11th and then the 12th.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So that's this truth. It's all about exposure.
Yeah. And even more so, like brother said, boxing, running 4 quarters in competition.
Oh, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, damn. Yeah,
You know?
that's a good
Yep.
A lot comes out.
Yep.
You know, how locked in you are.
Yeah,
Yep.
attitude.
Attitude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and physical ability.
Yep. Do you really want to win?
Right.
Because a lot of the time that separate, you can have all of it, and then it come down to the fourth quarter, you nut up. You know what I'm saying? What's the, like the brother said, what's your mentality? You know, can you have to envision yourself being one of the elect.
That's
you know,
right.
If you can't see yourself being that, then you in the wrong field, man. You know, go do something else. You know, because at the end of the day, that's what we striving for. We ain't striving to be, you know, nothing else outside of that, man. A doctor, you know.
Yeah.
Niggas want to be the top chief priest or whatever the fuck.
And that's crazy, because in those things, like in these worldly things, like making money in the world and shit, if your thing is to make money, you're sacrificing. You're denying something.
Yep.
Whether it's your sleep, your time with your family, one way or another, your freedom, because maybe you doing some illegal shit.
Yeah.
And you could get drunk, you sacrificing that, but then when it comes to the truth,
now
and when it comes to the Lord, your Savior, niggas don't want to give up their life for the Lord.
That's putting away that selfish way. Put away your own selfish self, man. You know, and in this society, you talk to be selfish.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
You know, you bred that way. You know, do what you want to do, baby. Your mama telling you that. You
That's
know,
a
feminine ass spirit, man.
You could be whatever you want to be.
Yeah. Then be confused when
Put
niggas
you
training.
first.
Yeah, put you
Put
first
you
and
first.
shit. Don't listen to nobody. You know, that's a wicked, evil spirit to have, and that's the spirit we fight.
Bro, you got men sacrificing and denying themselves for a woman.
Damn. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and this whole red pill movement is based off of a bunch of deprived, thirsty niggas who want some box. So now they done turn to the red pill community because they realized that they was the ones getting the box.
Yeah.
You know, being a man, because a couple years ago, we was hated. You know, you're a slut. You know, they was, oh, GMS hate women and all this shit. Now all of a sudden, these niggas is on podcasts cussing bitches out, using the scriptures and shit. Being praised for it, man. But only because you realize that being a man was actually in style. And women adore that. If it weren't for that, you niggas would still be simping. A lot of you niggas still are simping, you know, but you're using that as a cloak.
Hey, bro, James Brown. This is a man's world.
Right.
You know, straight out. You know, but it's so under the vibe of that Queen of Heaven nonsense. You know, basically these niggas, they repenting from being Queen of Heaven worshippers and shit.
Damn.
That's what y'all doing.
Yeah, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But you still off though.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
I even seen a video of a woman, and this was a crazy looking ratchet nigga woman. And even she was like, if you meet a girl and she, you know, y'all got to the point where she took you around her family and you notice that it ain't no men, like the mom, the auntie, the grandma, the god sister, nobody got a man, or run away. You know, so, yeah, but that's real though.
That's real as hell. From the end of
that's a huge red flag.
Guys,
yep.
It's a story behind that.
Yeah,
damn.
Because see, women are the greatest example we have of an individual that doesn't want to deny themselves for something righteous or for something for their betterment. You know, they're all into pleasure.
Yep. And that's how you know if a woman really down for you is if she deny herself for you. You tell her, if she listening to you, you know, you tell her no, is she gonna stick around? You know, that's the same likeness you gotta be in for the Lord, though.
That's right.
You know, tell yourself no. You know damn well you shouldn't be out there doing whatever the fuck you doing on the Shabbat. You know what I'm saying? Get your ass in the house. Right. The Lord he look upon that and he like, okay, well, he listening to me. We ain't getting it right. We ain't gonna get it right on this side, man. But we could at least attempt. You know, you could deal with a woman if she tried. You know, is she trying to satisfy me to some degree? You know, so we gotta be in the same spirit. Is our heart in it? You know, the Lord want to see pretty much what you're made of. If you're sincere, are you sincerely serving the Lord to the best of your ability? You know, because every brother got their different measures. Some brothers, you know, can abstain from different things for longer or on a different level. You know, but it's your own personal thing, man. You know, you know yourself. You're supposed to know yourself.
I got a quick preset.
Bro.
This is Revelation 1. Oh, I'm sorry, it's Revelation 2 and 10, but in the NLT, it says, don't be afraid of what you are about to suffer. The devil, which is Esau, Edom, the so-called white man, will throw some of you into prison to test you. You will suffer for 10 days, which 10 represents perfection. And here's the point. But if you remain faithful, even when facing death, I will give you the crown of life. And for these brothers that are put in this situation that remain faithful, even in the face of death, it's because those brothers were denying themselves and taking up their cross daily, meaning that they conditioned, all right, they trained their minds and spirits to make it through this moment. Right? All right, this is what, you know, this is like boot camp, you know, us being in this truth right now.
But you see that, you said that's NLT?
Yeah, it's the NLT.
You see how it said, don't be afraid for what you're about to suffer. Don't be afraid to suffer, man.
Right, that's it, yeah.
You know, and the suffering begins with denying yourself.
It don't feel good, but in the long run, in the bigger scheme of things, you'll be much better off.
Yeah, even in the KJV or KGB, they got a thing where a nigga raised a chicken for like 3-4 years and shit. He gotta feed it, groom it, you know, take care of it and all that. And then one random day, he get the order to kill the chicken. You know, no reasoning behind, or it might be a different animal, a comfort animal, a dog or whatever. You get that call pretty much to get rid of it. And they do it, man. And that a lot of agents fail off of that. You know, a lot of those men striving to be that elite force, they fail off something so simple as eradicating a comfort animal that you didn't got attached to. But that represents getting, being in a situation where you might be attaching yourself to the environment, because we gotta blend into this place, man. You know, you gotta move a certain type of way. But then in a blink of an eye, you gotta be willing to let that shit go.
Yeah, like
just as quick. Yeah.
Lot wasn't tripping off of shit he had. I'm sure he had a lot of substance.
Yeah,
that's Abraham's nephew.
He was rich.
You know,
Lot was a rich man.
That wasn't even a thought in his mind.
He didn't give a fuck.
You know what was on Lot's mind? Salvation. Being delivered from that destruction that was coming.
Yep.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right, bro.
But then remember Lot's wife.
She turned back.
And his wicked ass, what was it? His
sons-in-laws, yeah. Out there being gay.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a spiritual extrapolation, but it's a possibility.
Yeah.
I mean, high possibility.
Yeah, city or something. It was known for one thing.
Yeah.
You know. So and it was a seducing speech, just kind of like now, man. You know, people get seduced with those temptations, and that's why we gotta constantly test ourselves. You gotta see if you up to par. You know, and every day might be different. Today you might be superhuman. Tomorrow you might be, less than. But you gotta constantly test yourself, man, so you can at least know where you at and know what you need to improve on. You know, because when that day comes and you think you're gonna go up into there, and deny a chip, and you ain't never tested yourself, you know what I'm saying? You can't go into a gym and the nigga put on 2 plates, he ain't never did a bench press.
Right.
You know, the goddamn bar gonna go through your chest, man. So same principle, you know.
Step up.
All right, bro.
Book of Romans chapter 8. And verse. So like to bear with me. In verse 37, it says, "Nay, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him that loved us." And that's the point right there, that we're more than conquerors in Yahushua HaMashiach. Okay? He's the one who helps us deny ourselves to begin with. But you gotta believe in that. And if you don't believe in that right now, then how can you believe he's gonna be with you in denying yourself when it comes time to resist that temptation that's about to come, man?
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it makes me also think of what Paul said: bodily exercise profiteth little.
Mm-hmm.
But I think where it profits more than anything, like, yeah, it's physical benefits, but the mental, you could that's a good way to practice to deny yourself and strengthen your mind. You might be on that last set, and your flesh and Satan is telling you to stop.
Yeah.
Like, you did enough, stop. But then your spirit, your spirit is strong. Your spirit's like, nah, one more.
Yep.
Last one, and you push it out.
Yeah.
Now that's just a low level, method of practicing this. But there's even, greater ones, like especially fasting. Just think about the example you got of Yahushua in the scriptures. He fasted 40 days. After one day of fasting, like, you around niggas and shit, you see demons, you're irritated because you hungry. Your flesh is weak.
Yep.
So imagine Yahushua after 40 days and 40 nights, and then a nigga in the form of the spiritual entity Satan, like, you really the son of the Most High, turn these stones to bread.
Damn.
All right, so that Yahushua, man, he's a great example of suffering and resisting his flesh.
Yep.
Those wicked niggas that was scoffing and scorning them. He created those souls. He created those spirits, but yet he had to have the temperance, the self control. Because he wanted, what he say, if this was my kingdom, my servants was fighting.
Yep.
But he knows it's his heavenly Father's kingdom, and he has to do his will. So likewise, we got to do what Yahushua commissioned us to do.
Yeah.
Not what we want to do. You may want to punch out an Edomite that you guys see on the street, but it's not the time to do that.
Right.
So if you do that, you can't use this truth as in they say, well, the spirit, that's the devil. Nah, brother, you just did what you wanted to do to make your flesh feel good.
Yep. That's right.
Like brother said, some temperance. And that's a fruit of the spirit.
Yep.
But yeah, so we gotta deny ourselves, man, because these devils, they're getting their system together, man. And your boy DJ Trump, he signed a slew this past week of executive orders, man. One of which, or two of which, because they mirrored each other, but the main one was electronic payments, man.
Yep.
For the sake of their treasury. Get rid of checks and to just deal with electronic transfers. That's a stepping stone there.
Oh yeah, a huge one. Yeah. And so what I'll do here is I'll just read these headlines from a few different articles, all on that subject. Some are worded different. So from Global Government FinTech, it says Trump orders, and this was 2 hours ago, Trump orders end of U.S. government checks and digital disbursements overhaul. Right, another one from a couple days ago, Trump order pushes federal government toward electronic payment methods. Right, another one from a day ago says Trump signs executive order to eliminate paper checks for treasury payments. Right, and the main thing is that he's pushing towards these electronic, payments, digital, over physical checks.
Right. My brother he was making a quick Google. We're gonna see since it's dealing with their U.S. Their treasury, we're gonna see just who they're responsible for when it comes to sending out payments. Who are they responsible to make sure their money get there on time.
Right. See, it's all coming together, like glue.
It says the U.S. Treasury is responsible for managing federal finances, collecting taxes, and paying all bills of the United States government, including managing currency, government accounts, and the public debt.
Right.
Is that what you wanted?
That's part of it.
Currency and coinage. The Treasury oversees the production and circulation of currency and coinage.
Right. So if they're beginning to shift away from checks to deal with electronic payments, to deal with their business on a government platform, okay, how much more when it starts to trickle down into the public sector?
Exactly.
Since they're over the what did it say about currency and coinage?
Yeah, they're over the production and circulation of currency and coinage.
Right. So how quick can it be reversed? To switch from a physical means of transaction to a digital.
Yep.
Yeah. Quick. Hey, Salaki, real quick. I like how these two articles worded this. Trump orders, is from Bitcoin News. Trump orders massive digital shift for America's bank account. Right. Con. So going further into this This article, it says President Donald Trump has signed an executive order mandating a federal shift to digital payments by September.
Yeah.
It could happen sooner than that though.
Yep.
Aiming to reduce 657 million in waste and minimize fraud risk.
Right, and see that, and that's a tactic
Yep.
put forward by the devil to
Mhm.
battle against fraud when they're the authors
Some
of fraud.
bullshit, yeah.
Yep.
You know,
Yep.
This whole monetary system is a fraud.
Right. And he's the ultimate fraud and shit.
right.
Yep.
And before you continue, the second executive order that he signed that mirrored the one for the electronic transfer is supposed to protect that form of payment as well.
Mhm.
You know, when you listen or go into his executive orders that he passed this week. Go ahead, bro.
It says U.S. President Donald Trump signed an executive order on March 25th at the White House mandating a government-wide shift to digital payments, ending nearly all paper-based disbursements by the close of fiscal year 2025.
So you see that? What is that again?
It says ending nearly all paper-based disbursements by the close of fiscal year 2025.
Right, you see that?
Yeah, that's heavy. That's
Yep.
heavy. So these devils are moving quick.
And the Treasury supervises banks and thrift institutions. So that means all the banks are going to be on the same note. They're going to be on the same in the
Central
alignment.
bank digital currency.
Yep.
Say it again, bro. It said it did what?
The Treasury supervises banks and thrift institutions.
Right, banks and
So
thrift.
national banks and thrift institutions. So like
Chase
credit-
Bank,
yeah,
credit
credit
unions,
unions and all of those type
Bank
of
of
places.
America, Wells
Yep.
Fargo,
Navy, Federal,
you know.
whatever it is.
And the reason why that is so is because they deal directly with the Federal Reserve,
Right.
Mhm.
where it all comes from anyway,
Mm-hmm.
where it's printed at, you know. So they're working on ending all cash and coin disbursements
Yep.
to go completely digital.
Yep.
Okay. And there's still developments for these central bank digital currencies.
Yep.
Which is going to be another stepping stone.
Yep.
You know, for this B system. Yeah, so say that.
No, that was it.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it on that article. Is just reiterating the same thing. But another article from Reuters words it this way: Trump signs executive order to modernize Treasury payment system.
Wow.
See those keywords: payment system and then modernize.
Yeah. Yep.
So they're making all of this normal, and it's all leading up to that chip.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's right.
That's right, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Which is going to be a snare to you people.
Oh yeah.
You know.
Yeah. Let me get the scripture on that, since you just mentioned a couple precepts came to mind. Let me get this one first. And in Ecclesiastes 9:12, for man also knoweth not his time, as the fishes that are taken in the evil net,
Mm-hmm.
and as the birds that are caught in the snare, so are the sons of men snared in an evil time, when it falleth suddenly upon them.
Right. And that evil time is the announcing of the mark of the beast.
Yeah,
right?
that's it.
Okay.
Yeah, that's it. And then I got that precept too in Revelation 3:10. This is Yahushua speaking to his elect. Because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I also will keep thee from the hour of temptation,
Mm-hmm.
which shall come upon all the world to try them that dwell upon the earth.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the NLT it says, because you have obeyed my command to persevere, I will protect you from the great time of testing that will come upon the whole world to test those who belong to this world.
See that? It's all a test, but it's mainly for the undesirables.
Right.
You know, we're put on this earth, Lord willing, we're a part of that number. We're put on this earth to experience that test. You know, we're not put on this earth to fail that test, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's why he said he's going to keep us.
Yeah.
You know, he's gonna protect us. He's gonna guide us, man.
Yep.
But you know, he only gonna do that for those who have denying themselves, man.
That's right.
For his name's sake.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And for some of us, brothers, this is our time to make it right. Because maybe before you came into this truth, you did all type of bullshit that could be deemed worthy of death.
Mm-hmm.
All right, you may have failed all type of tests the Lord threw at you in the world, but now He brought us into this truth, gave us this knowledge and His Spirit to be able to condition ourselves for this final test.
That's right.
All right, the Lord favors us, man. The rest of the people in this world, they're about to walk blindly into the hour of temptation, into this great testing. But us, the Lord has put us around, you know, the right guidance to be prepared for this test.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's heavy right there, and that should be all of our motivation. The fact that we're in this truth right now and studying this word is a huge sign that, Lord willing, we're of the elect.
Yep.
Because the Lord is preparing us for the time we're reading about.
Right. That digital society. It was an article that came out this week called "Sleepwalking into a Cashless Society."
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Damn, yeah.
How much more they gotta tell you?
Snared in that evil net.
You know.
And I like the analogy the scriptures used of fishes and birds. You know, because they call it a school of fish.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they just swimming around. They ain't thinking about nothing but fish stuff. And then that net, boom, swoop them up. They didn't think nothing of it.
Like a thief in the night.
Like a thief in the night.
You just snatched away.
Yep. That's these people in this world. You know, think about it. You got Hebrews in the truth talking about it could be 1,000 years from now. So imagine someone's mindset that don't even believe in the Bible, ain't even with the Bible.
Oh yeah, bro.
They who knows what was going. They think the Anunnaki is gonna come, you know, bless them.
Yeah,
So
some crazy shit.
yeah. So taking the chip, that ain't shit for them.
No.
You know, if they gotta take a chip, this must be the will of the Anunnaki.
Right.
Who knows? There's some crazy ass jakes out there.
This is Babylon.
Yeah.
You know? As far as your imagination can take.
Yeah. Or even Christians. You know, let's simplify it. Christians. You know, they gonna have bald head ass pastors. You really think God will want you to not eat?
Yep.
No, this is God's microchip. You
Yep.
know,
the Jesus chip.
Yeah, the Jesus.
But they're already trained was 13th chapter of Romans.
Yeah.
Yeah.
About powers that be.
Yep.
Yeah. Submit yourselves.
Yeah. I'm willing to say it's safe to say that every Christian church, Baptist church out there promoted and encouraged the congregations to get that injection.
Hey, bro, I know some folks in the world, bro, and the church they go to, they pastor told them that they couldn't even sing in the choir unless they
see. So they pray. That's wicked. That's very wicked because now you got you pressuring people to get it and pretty much threatening them. Like if you don't get it, you out of here.
Yep.
You had Hebrew Israelite camps.
Yeah, half of the camps.
So do that mean when the chip is made mandatory, are you gonna have Israelite camp leaders telling they take the chip, man? It ain't the mark.
Right. Yeah, but that's because they're hirelings.
Damn.
Them niggas, they definitely denying themselves, man.
Oh hell no.
I ain't gonna take it, but I want y'all to take it. Because I think that's what that dude Johannes said. He said like he himself, he didn't get he probably did get it, but he told his congregation like I ain't gonna get it, but y'all take it.
He should take 4 or 5 of them bad boys.
Yeah.
Damn.
That's demonic.
This ain't bad boy. This ain't tequila.
You're slacking, man. He don't give a fuck, bro.
They don't care.
He don't care that he's seen as a hireling, man, because that's what he is.
He don't give a
They don't
fuck.
believe.
You know
why you think he wear them shades? Like he knows he's on the dark side,
touching little boys and shit.
You know,
them niggas don't fuck.
But you know, fuck them. But they would example. You know, you don't have leaders of these congregations that's going to be willing to help the devil deceive you.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yep, just like in Baba Kashaw, let me find this example real fast in Maccabees, because them Edomites back then did the exact same thing. You know, got leaders of our people
to sell out.
Yeah, let me see. That's in Maccabees 1. First Maccabees 1. Bear with me. Let's see. Is it this right here? Let me read it. Well, I'll start from verse 11. First Maccabees 1 and 11. In those days went there out of Israel wicked men who persuaded many. Yeah, persuaded other Israelites, saying, let us go and make a covenant with the heathen that are round about us. For since we departed from them, we have had much sorrow. So this device pleased them well. Then certain of the people were so forward herein that they went to the king, who gave them license to do after the ordinances of the heathen. Right, so same thing in this time. You got wicked men that are leading groups and congregations, or just simply have a platform to where they can influence people.
Yeah.
All right, and they gonna promote to take the chip, just like they promoted, you know, that juice. Yep. So let me see. I think that was the point, but let me see. Yeah, that was the point, Salaki. I thought it was worded different.
You're talking about when they he asked like one of the brothers of Judas Maccabees to.
Nah, not with the port. Yeah, I know. Nah, I think it was that what I read.
Yeah, because Esau gonna give them benefits to do it.
Yeah.
That's why you see these niggas. It's funny how like the same niggas that was coming out with crazy ass doctrines, you look up and you see them on all these different platforms now, man.
Oh no, here, Salaki, I found what I was looking for. In verse 44. Let me start at 41 though. Moreover, King Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and everyone should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. And that's what's going on now today. You know, this new world order. It says, yea, many also of the Israelites consented to his religion and sacrificed unto idols and profaned the Sabbath. For the king has sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judah, that they should follow the strange laws of the land. And that right there in verse 44 is the promotion. All right, they're going to, you know, modern day sending letters to our people is sending these celebrities, you know, and leaders of these 501c3 groups to promote this stuff.
Social engineering.
Yeah, social engineering, that's right. Yeah, but that was it. That was the point right there I was looking for.
Yeah, man. You know, this is what's happening.
Yeah.
And it's live and in your face.
Yeah.
You know, but of course, you know, people are still taken by the bread and circus. You know, and this is going to come on you as a thief in the night still. Even though we're sitting here telling you here on the unicorn and out there on the street, man.
Yeah.
And we liken it to Noah. And Noah was out there warning the people that, hey, the flood is coming. You know, water is going to come from the sky.
Yep.
You know, though he told them, they didn't believe it until it started, you know, dropping.
Raining.
Yeah.
It's too late then.
Yep.
That's right, man.
And then I got that Daniel 8 and 25, going back to, you know, Trump signing those executive orders, pushing towards the mark of the beast. Daniel 8 and 25, it says, and through his policy, and this is talking about a specific man, Antiochus Epiphanes, all right, but we could apply it to this time too. And through his policy also, he shall cause craft to prosper in his hand.
Yep.
So through this devil's legislation, his paperwork, these executive orders that he's signing, some of these executive orders, like it'll be a main title and topic it's on, but it'll be pages of it, and somewhere in some type of fine print, he'll slip some demonic device in there.
Yep.
It says, and he shall magnify himself in his heart. That's the pride of his mind. And by peace shall destroy many.
Yep.
That's how they're presenting this whole NWO, as for our betterment, to save the environment.
Right. Hey, that's why Reuters said they modernize it. That gives the impression that we behind.
Yeah, yes.
We archaic. This is a little, this is past due. We should have been doing stuff like this.
That's what Trump said, bro.
Mm-hmm.
He said this should have been done 20, 30 years ago.
And really, it should have.
What did Klaus Schwab say? China is the role model. And when you look at what's going on in China, they are ahead of the game. And a lot of this shit.
They are. Yeah, their people are way more submissive and beat down with that technology. They got drones patrolling everywhere and shit.
Big
Through.
asses.
Yeah, lemon eyes and shit.
Straight heat.
It says, he shall also stand up against the prince of princes, but he shall be broken without hand, because ultimately our Lord Yahushai, is going to come stop this devil. Like Daniel, King Nebuchadnezzar saw in that vision, and Daniel broke it down to him, because Daniel had the same dream, right?
Yeah.
And the stone that was carved without hands that smote the image at his feet, and we're at the feet of that image, all right? And Yahushai is going to come completely take this devil and this wicked establishment out.
Yep. That's it.
Well, yeah, Daniel, he understood the king's dream, and the dream he had was the same, but a different similar to.
Right, that's right.
But he saw he understood the stone smote the feet, but he saw the beast being thrown to the flame.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's what it explains in Job. How the enterprise of the wicked is going to be basically cut short.
Yep,
I got it right.
He's not going to be able to fulfill it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So this is Job 5 and verse 12. He disappointeth the devices of the crafty, so that their hands cannot perform their enterprise.
Right. Means they cannot succeed. It's going to get to a certain point, but it's not going to reach its pinnacle to where it can last forever.
Yep.
Another place in Job it says that while he's eating.
While he's eating. Yeah.
20.
While he he think he in there.
Fill his belly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Job 20 and 23. When he is about to fill his belly, the Most High shall cast the fury of his wrath upon him, and shall rain it upon him while he is eating.
Yep.
Right. The stones smiting those feet, and the whole image come down, or that beast being given to the flame.
Yep. That's right. That's it.
Yep.
Cut short.
He gonna be unaware.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
In the middle of feasting, man.
Hey, because what did the Lord say? The deceive and the deceiver is. So that means that the deceiver is deceived himself.
Mm-hmm.
It's pride.
It's pride, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's saying Obadiah.
The spirit.
So everybody is in the trick bag. But the hopeful members of the elect will willing to the end or exempt, man.
That's right. Hey, when I think about this devil, I think of like a little wicked naked nigga, like running around, like trying to hide, doing demonic shit.
Trying to cover himself.
Yeah, he's the basis of man.
Yeah,
trying to cover.
Cause he running away from the adultery he just committed.
Yeah. He done hopped out somebody's window.
He got chased out.
Nigga bloody.
Like,
what the fuck? What is you doing?
Hey, that's Esau. That's how the Lord is gonna find him, naked and bloody. With Israelite blood on his hands.
Yep.
And that's gonna be his demise right there.
That's right.
Yeah, that's all I got too.
Hey, so again, the time is now, or the training starts now.
The training
That's
starts
right.
now. That's
to,
right.
deny yourself, man.
Mhm.
You know, so when that hour of temptation befalls us, we can be confident in the Lord Yahweh Shah being with us, man.
That's right.
That's right.
Hey, so Lord willing, this was an edifying live stream. We'll close out by giving all praise, glory, and honor unto
Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rahakadash.
And once again, double honors unto the apostles and elders of Great Millstone. And peace, blessings, and mercies to the hopeful elect, wherever you may be. Until next time we say, Shalom.
Shalom. The water for that. The water for that. That was a beautiful
Yeah.
live stream.
That was cool. Got 7 likes.